Meantime, in London, British and international activists have gathered outside of the Saudi embassy to protest against Saudi Arabia's invasion of Yemen. On Friday, a similar rally was staged in New York City, where protesters called for peace in the Arab country. They also urged the UN to stop the war there. Our correspondent, Amina Taylor, is at the venue of the rally in London. Hi, Amina. Please fill us in on the situation there on the ground.
Marzia, it's almost like I've got my running shoes on and I'm trying to catch up with these protesters. First of all, we got taken from Marble Arch in the center of the capital, up past Hyde Park, in front of the Saudi embassy, and now they're making another detour, I believe, maybe before the American embassy. But the message here has been a consistent one, whether that be in Marble Arch or whether that be in front of the Saudi embassy. It is, please cease the killings, stop the intervention, and stop ruining a country that's already one of the poorest in the Middle East. We have to remember the situation with Saudi Arabia in terms of interventionism in Yemen. It's not just a case of this week or last month. We've been talking for decades now. So in an already fractured society, you bring the introductions of bombs. You mentioned there, rather sadly, at the beginning of this news broadcast, how many more innocent people, civilians, women, children, who would have been killed in the latest rounds of attack. And it's just heartbreaking for many of the individuals I've spoken to who have relatives in the north and the south of the country. And just allow me to bring in a gentleman here who's been standing quite firm with his placard. Sir, if you'd like to come and join us a little bit more. Can you tell some of the international audience why you would be here protesting?
And we protested here and came here just to stop and killing in Yemen. And the Saudi Arabia are trying to kill innocent people in Yemen without any reason, no reason at all. We know that Saudi Arabia, they created a lot of terrorists in this world, which is causing a big problem. And if we take an example, Al-Qaeda from Saudi Arabia, and if we see ISIS from Saudi Arabia, that's the reality. If we see Boko Haram in Saudi Arabia, if we see Al-Shabaab from Somal in Saudi Arabia, they have that mentality. And the mentality they are graduating from Saudi Arabia, from the Wahhabi area, and they are taking, and they have the mentality of they have only right, and anyone who against them is kafir, and they have right to kill. That is not Muslim. They are dividing the Muslims. They are dividing even the human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they are following the Quran, if they are believe the Quran, what the Quran says that we have to be united.
And that's what we're
And that's what I'm just conveying that message.
Thank you very much. Today. And do remember, Marzia, that this is one of the messages that we are getting just along the path, just asking somebody who's just joined up with the demonstrators to say why they're here. And it's not just about ensuring that the bombardment stops immediately. It's about future bombardments. It's about future incursions. And how long will the international community remain silent as innocent women, children? Somebody right beside me is just shouting genocide, and I think that's actually one of the key words here that we can wrap up with before I head back to you in the studio, Marzia.
All right. And I mean, while you're on the streets there in London, I'm just wondering overall, because there have been some complaints coming out of Yemen that a lot of the international community has ignored what is going on, has not really stressed the importance of what is happening and the death and destruction taking place by those Saudi-led attacks. What do you feel? You're there on the streets in London. Do you think that the average Brit is aware of what is going? How is the information, as far as the floor of information inside of the country concerning Yemen?
Well, you mentioned two things there. It's not just about the information that's being received and how that's being disseminated in a public forum via the media. It's about what that information is actually saying, because we're getting a very one-sided account here of what is, in fact, a very complex issue. On one hand, whenever this situation is mentioned in the mainstream media, it's spoken of in terms of Saudi Arabia trying to protect its border and trying to protect a rightful president from fleeing. Well, as somebody said to me this morning when I asked them about why they've come down, they said, look, misinformation kills. And if you talk about the individuals who have died, just imagine, if you will, the very crux of the matter being so skewed that there are some individuals who were passing the demo today who thought Saudi Arabia and that coalition were actually right to bomb the area, to bomb Yemen, to bomb those innocent men, women and children, because they were protecting democracy. So on one hand, whenever the information is disseminated, it is skewed. There is no accounting for the nuances of what's a very complicated internal matter that's now been externalized. And in most of the cases, sadly, Marzia, it's simply silence, because what happens in Yemen barely registers on the databases here, and that is sad to see. So sad.
Indeed. Thank you so much for that update. Amina Taylor out of London, Press TV's correspondent on the ground there.